And good evening, everyone, and welcome to Monday Night Live. I'm just waiting. I'm waiting for everything to explode. We're going to hope. We've made a bunch of changes tech-wise, hoping that those are the end of the gremlins. I have one more big change to make behind the scenes, and that'll hopefully solve things, but working on that. But so far, so good. Fingers crossed. So welcome to Monday Night Live on the YouTube. I want to start real quick by thanking some of the people who had given super stickers last week, those little, thank you, monetary thank you things. That really helps to keep things going. That includes Brian Moore, Ryan Joe Baggy, Bobby from Raffin Customs, Michael McClung. You guys are amazing. And then, of course, to Mike Manning, who is our newest member here on YouTube in the What Could Go Wrong Club. That being part of that little membership thing is just a monthly thing that really helps keep things going, and also gives you 10% discount on my website, and also you get early access to, and I just saw someone do that too. Bug! Dave the Bug Gregory, so thank you. Things are still okay. I'm watching it. Things are still okay. So huge thank you to all those fine people. If Tim John Luke Smith gets on, he is currently our moderator. I may change that tonight. So whoever is, we have a moderator to keep the Rachels at bay, if you will. And what happens is that's another perk for being a member here. You will randomly be chosen as the moderator for the feed, which will be fun. So Tim's been another, guys, all right, I'm going to get caught up here. You guys are amazing. I'm holding my breath because things are going well. Let's stick with that. But thank you to Honey Rivera. Honey, you're a sweetheart. Thank you so much. Just a couple new items before I show you the new paintings and we get into this fun project for tonight. The razor blade painting, the Mustang, and the Mustang titanium painting are both still up on the site. On the front page there at a huge discount. So if you want a razor blade painting of your own and you're following the open studio here, that painting of the Mustang is on sale right now on the front of the website. So you can get your own razor blade painting, and you have the bragging rights of showing everyone exactly every minute of that thing being painted, which is also very cool. That's all I got for show and tell. So we'll get to the new paintings and then I'll show you what we're working on. And another super, you guys are amazing. Okay, let me switch over to this and we'll look at these paintings and I'll say hello and thank you to everyone. Brian Moore, thank you so much. Amazing. Hello to everyone. Grumpy, what's going on? Oh, Brian, I'm glad you mentioned that. So the points we've kind of reset since we jumped over to YouTube because a lot of the usernames are different and the whole way we were tracking it was by usernames on Facebook. So I'm going to come up with something special for those people who are really close to the point number on Facebook. I just got to work it out. But our primary goal was to get the YouTube thing up and running, the point systems for the YouTube, so we could move forward. So that's all done. So the point system works the same way. For anyone who's new here, welcome. I'll give you a quick rundown on how the free giveaway works. All you do is type in 543 live on the feed. You can't do it after. It has to be in the live chat. And give me a suggestion to do one of these paintings that I'm about to show you. I do black and white paintings every week. I do 3 of them. Just give me a suggestion. All you got to do is give me a suggestion and you're in. And then the next week we compile all those suggestions, put them all into a hat, and we choose a name, and that person wins a painting. They can pick any of the 543s they want. That's how it works. But in order to we wanted to give thanks to the people who are playing along every week. So my son actually came up with a point system, which is really kind of nice. If you make a suggestion, you get 2 points for that week. If you made a suggestion the previous week, you get kind of a streak point, meaning, you made 2 suggestions in a row, so you get an extra 2 points. And the final way is if you make any kind of financial contribution to the feed. So either with these super stickers that you see popping up right now, but also like Mike got 2 points last week because he became a member of the channel. So you get 2 points for that too. So any financial bump, you automatically get 2 points for that too. And it doesn't have to be an amount. I mean, you could, super stickers, you could do whatever you want. You still get 2 points, whether it's, 50 cents or, $200. So it works out really well. So the points are active and we're getting the graph ready and I'll do all that. So good question. All right, who else do I say hi to? Everyone, Steve, what's up? There he is. Mr. MacKay. Mr. MacKay, I'm holding my breath. So far, so good. Michael McClung, hello. Donna, the lovely Donna, what's up? And Wayne, the lovely Wayne. What's up, Wayne? Mike Stevenson, welcome. Dan Mayer, hello. James Cully, what's happening? You guys are awesome. Okay, so let's get to it. I'm going to show you the paintings, and then I'll show you what we're going to work on today. And I'm glad Scott's here because I totally ripped off his whole channel, but we'll get into that in a few minutes. All right, let's look at the 3 that I chose from last week, and I will give you the rundown on those. Super happy with them. And oh, happy St. Patrick's Day, everyone. As a Irishman, I often forget that it's St. Patrick's Day because for me, every day is St. Patrick's Day. So happy St. Patrick's Day to you. All right. First suggestion, or this suggestion, came in from our buddy Ron. Ron Basil asked last week for George Jetson in his hovering or his flying car. That's what I got. I'll give you a close-up of that one. Here, and of course, yeah, the name of this one is Here's George Jetson. Get some light on that. And that's the first line of the title of the cartoon. So the Jetsons originally premiered on September 23rd in 1962. What I didn't realize is it only ran for a year, or less than a year. It ran through March of '63. It was on ABC, but was more known, especially to me, in reruns and syndication. It was the first program to air in color on ABC, which I also didn't know. Originally, it had really poor ratings because it was up against Disney's Wonderful World of Color and Dennis the Menace. So it was canceled after 1 season. Also, something I didn't know. I thought it was on for a lot longer. The Jetsons were set in 2062. So if you do the math, that means George Jetson was born sometime around now. So I don't know what's going to happen in 40 years, but I doubt we'll get to the Jetsons level of tech. But there you go. So there is George Jetson. I've also run out of, I feel bad about this. I have run out of, again, maintenance Steve has been terrible. I ran out of the certificates of authenticity. So if you win one of these tonight and you want this one, I will ship it out and then I'll mail your certificate after. So just a quick note for that. Yay, Kelly Drake, what's up? All right. Here we go. So that's the first one. Excellent job. Next one is from our buddy Enzo. Enzo last week asked for just a pint of Guinness, and since it's St. Patrick's Day, I couldn't resist, and this is what I got. Now, I've done this painting before, but this one's totally different, but the same. So here is my little glass of Guinness, my pint of Guinness in the official Guinness glass, and this one's got all the fun little clovers behind it. Guinness traces its roots back all the way to 1759 when Arthur Guinness signed a 9,000-year lease for the St. James Gate Brewery in Dublin. The first porter brewed in Guinness wasn't actually brewed until 1778, but by 1779, all the other beer that they were producing was eliminated from the brewery. The St. James Brewery was the largest in the world by 1886, mostly because of this singular, amazing beverage. So that is my pint of Guinness. And what did I call that one? I call that one just a pint because it's never just a pint. Never just a pint. All right, I'm going to see if I can get the comments over here because so far, knock on frickin' wood, everything's fine. Everything's fine. Everything's working. Nothing's broken. But we're going to knock on wood for that one. Can I get at that? Come on, man. I'll take that as a loss. If I can't see the comments over there, that's fine. What else we got? Yeah, look at, see, so there you go. I can see some 543 suggestions in there. So even if you win, you want to keep putting in your suggestions because you're still getting those points. And as soon as you hit 80 points, you get a painting. You get to pick one. So, so yeah, that's the idea behind that. Now, why can't I do that? I want it all, folks. I want it all. Why can't I do that? Let's try that again. Yeah, there it is. Go, show me. Yeah, I got comments over there now. I don't want to say everything's working, but everything's working. Finally, last but not least, if you are a member here over on YouTube, you would have already seen this one. The time-lapse Tuesday video is from our buddy Grumpy RC Flyer. Asked for a kestrel, and I've done the kestrel before, but I wanted to do this one again because it's an amazing, amazing bird. Chris, what's up, man? So here's my kestrel. Is that in focus? Because I'm a little closer now. Yeah, there it is. The North American kestrel is is the smallest falcon, and it comes in at about the size of a blue jay. Tiny, tiny bird for a falcon, for this type of bird of prey. Kestrels hunt insects and are incredibly agile flyers. What's interesting is they can see all the way into the ultraviolet spectrum, which helps with bug hunting. These birds often store their kills in hollow trees, so they don't always eat what they kill or what they capture. The kestrel has earned nicknames like sparrowhawk and grasshopper hawk, which is kind of cool. Kestrels are also listed on as least concern on the conservation status. However, the numbers are decreasing because we're stupid humans and we cut down all the trees they make their nests in. So it's worthy of keeping an eye on them too. So they are pretty amazing. And again, I've made this little dude look very imposing, but they are super tiny and super cool. So this is my kestrel, and I just call that one kestrel. Now, if you win tonight, you can choose one of these. If someone does choose one of these, or none of them, if they choose one on the site, these three will go up on my website on stephenleahy.com immediately after the feed, and you can grab it for a discount, which is fun. So if you see one you like, you can always grab that. And that's it. That's what we got. So let's get to it. Let's get to the down and dirty tricks. So the story is, I was talking to Scott. I was going to take over his feed on Thursday because he wasn't able to do his feed as he's getting ready for Adepticon coming up and some other stuff that's going on with him and his lovely wife. So I was going to take over the feed, but if you've been keeping track of the weather, the Midwest was kind of hit by these crazy storms last week. Now, we didn't get the tornadoes. Well, we did get tornado warnings. We didn't get any of the tornadoes, but we got a lot of wild weather, and it ended up knocking out the power here. And it was just a perfect end to the tragically tech poor week that I was having. So I took my plans for that and I transferred them to tonight, and that's what we'll be doing, which is way better because it's St. Patrick's Day and we should be doing fun stuff. So what I have here is a piece of ampersand clayboard that's 6x8, and I painted it green with a cool little fade on it. And what we're going to paint on this little guy tonight is one of Scott MacKay's downloads. So you can download a bunch of stuff from Scott. If you're a member, you get a discount on any of the downloads. This is one of them. He did this one last year. Actually, he did the skull, but the other one in the kit in this download has a bag of coins. I chose the other one, the little beer stein one. So when you download it, you get the file, it's all ready to go. So if you have a plotter, you can feed it right in there. It comes with the artwork, so you can just do what I did and just use, like a regular printout. And it's really kind of cool. So there's all kinds of different art that's ready to go right on his site. It's definitely worth checking out. If you're not following him anyway, just do it because his channel's a blast, and he always has a lot of fun with his live streams and that kind of stuff. So I grabbed that, and I've already transferred this, so we're just going to start painting to kind of save a little bit of time. I'm not even going to use any cutouts or anything, although you could cut out bits and pieces. And if you want to see Scott do that, it's really cool the way he does it. But I'm just going to freehand this so we can just kind of get right into it. But I wanted to kind of give you the setup. So here's what we're going to do tonight. I've put some of the stuff, like what the projects we're working on, I put them up on the site as just like kind of purchase. Tonight we're going to do a bid type of system on this one, and we're going to add a bonus to it. So this is the shot of whiskey painting that we did live, and this one's on aluminum, and it's like a 543, but it's on aluminum. So this one, we're also going to bid on this one too. So I'll give you the close-up of that one so you can see it. That's the little shot of whiskey that we painted. And that one's ready to go. So got both of these, and the way we're going to do that is if you want one of these, all you got to do is type which one you want and then your bid, and I will keep track of them. And if if I at the end of it, whoever has a high bid will get it. I'll try to do my best to keep track of it live, but we'll find the high bidder at the end of it either way. So you can either do dirty for the 6x8 skull, this one here, or shot for the little shot of whiskey. And those are the two. There is no reserve on them. You can bid whatever you want to start, and whatever the high bid is at the end of the feed, that's what they're going to go for. So if it's $5, it's $5. Hopefully it'll be a little bit more than that, because I'm worth more than $5. But yeah. All right. So what we're going to do is let's move this over to here. Now, if you look real close, you can see I've kind of sketched this out. And what I did was I used a little bit of Surround paper in Scott's download, and that's how I kind of got it. So you can see just enough of it, but when I get into this, you'll basically see the rest of it. All right, what do we got? What am I missing? There's Scott. So if you have any questions about the downloads or how they work, or what you can do to be a Down and Dirty Tricks member, you can just ask Scott right there. So he's right here. I'm going to try to keep track of the comments, but I really want to focus on getting painting. So yay. All right, Max, what's up, brother? All right. So I pre-painted this with a mixture of Autoborn sealer and a little bit of green. I don't have any Autoborn sealer green, but just adding a little bit of Viridian to this made a nice base coat. And I also faded it. It's difficult to tell. It looks like the light is just on it weird, but it's a little bit darker green here, and it fades to a lighter green over here. And you'll see why I did that as we get going. But I know, shut up and go. Brother Robert. Hello, sir. All right. So first thing I'm going to do, and I'll do this kind of like a 543 because it's basically monochromatic. It's going to have a lot of greens, maybe some blues in it, but mostly, green, white, and black. So I'm going to treat this the same way as a 543. The nice thing about working on green is that you don't get the same kind of blue shift that you do by working on a warmer color, like even black. You do get the blue shift, but because it's green, you don't see it as much. So it's nice. But I'm still going to start with the white and the highlights just to kind of give myself a little bit of a, a little bit of a base to kind of get going on this. And there's not going to be any masking or anything. I'm just going to kind of mess around with it and see what we come out with. Hopefully we'll finish it tonight. If we don't, whoever wins the high bid, doesn't matter. I'm still gonna I'm gonna finish it up, and it'll be way more than hopefully what you bid, but it'll be worth it. All right, so I've got straight white in the airbrush now. It's got reducer. It's reduced 1-to-1, so 1 part paint to 1 part reducer. I may even go a little bit more than that. We'll see how that goes. I'm going to try to keep my head out of the way, but this brush it's got some gunk in it. I noticed it was spraying by itself, and it still is, but we're going to kind of power through because this stage right here doesn't have to be super crazy accurate. So even though this is bleeding a little bit of paint, meaning, it's spraying when I'm not pulling the trigger back, it's not going to, be life or death. It's not like I'm putting in like the last highlight, and it's just going to crash. Oh, before I do this, let's give you a little feel for what this can look like. So here is Scotty's version of this same painting. Pretty badass. This is the one that you also get with the download. It's kind of your reference. But that kind of gives you a feel for where this is going. Now, the nice thing about this is 2 artists will inevitably come out with 2 different things. And that is certainly Scott's intention with these. He gives you the framework and you do your own art with it. So you'll see by the end of this, mine will just naturally have a different feel than his because that's what we do. Bill Snagan. Bill, what is up? Bill has a wonderful channel too. Tim has been feeling under the weather, but I know he did get his live stream off Wednesday, which was fantastic. So he's also, great. In fact, let me do this because I can. Since I know Tim's probably tied up, let us make, let's do that. There we go. Perfect. So now you will see when Scott makes a comment, he is not in green anymore, he is in blue, because Scott is one of our moderators now. So what I'm going to do now, the thing with the initial stages with this white stage, like I have it all drawn in, but I'm not, actually, is that too bright for you guys? Let me darken that up a little bit. It's tough because I didn't want it to be too, yeah, I wanted you to be able to see it, but I also didn't want to be too washed out. Good. Is that Kyle? Kyle, what's up, brother? I thought I saw that. 20-minute mark. Awesome. All right. So with the white at this point, you know, for me, I really try hard not to get into too many details right at the outset, because I really want to kind of just get the main light source. So I'm going to have the light kind of coming in from the upper left. It doesn't really matter. I guess it does matter as far as, you know, how the composition is. But for the most part, my tendency is to have it come from the upper left. You could do whatever you want. What I would look at is the composition of the skull, you know, to see what surfaces will get that light. If it looks like, you know, the upper right would make more sense, then, you know, do that. But for this, you know, upper left works fine. Upper right would be fine too. It's not really, you know, a major crazy thing to try, you know, either one. It's just a matter of like making sure you're consistent. Like basically what I'm saying is, like if this is your skull, the light's coming from the upper left, so all the upper left-hand side of everything is going to be bright. The lower right side of everything is going to be dark. You got to make sure of that. You can't have, you know, like I can't do this because, well, I can because there's another light over here. But if you have some of the light coming from this way and then you light up some of it this way, it's gonna make it look either washed out or worse. It's just gonna look, you know, just confused, and you don't want that. By the power of Grayskull. Yes. So again, I try not to worry too much about, you know, being super crazy with any kind of detail here. Obviously you see what I'm doing up here? No, it's kind of off the screen, but I'll back it out in a second. The head of the beer is got, you know, mostly white. You can't see the fingers are out just off the screen, but I'll get to that. Underneath the brim of the hat, you would get, you know, obviously he had a lot of highlights on the top brow, on his top of his eye sockets, but they'll be in shadow, so they're not going to get much. But the top of the hat gets it, obviously, because it's, you know, the top of the hat. Not really like the top of the morning, but, you know. The four-leaf clover gets it. I should do something with the background. Let me think about that. I should do the background first, but I want to paint the skull, so we'll figure that all out. What else we got? I'm taking a long way home. Be listening, but off the chat. Yes, Dave, 100%. William Klein's Lost 40 Lodge. Hello. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Yay. Thank you all for jumping in. You guys are amazing. And then, you know, hopefully we're still good. Hopefully we're going to keep that tech train rolling. And we're not going to have the same same mishaps that we've encountered in the past. So I don't want to go nuts with this either. You know, I want to give myself enough of it, but I don't want to be too crazy. This whole painting is going to be a back and forth. You'll see it as we go. I'm going to drop this down a little bit because you don't necessarily need to see his beard, but it would be nice if I slide it over so you can kind of catch his fingers in here too. His fingers as he grabs the mug, they're obviously going to get it. I also am not overly worried about the edges yet. Now, those are going to be important later, especially along the outside of him. But for this, you know, softer white stuff, these highlights, I don't have to worry about being super precise. I'm going to try not to use any, you know, templates or anything, any freehand templates. I might. It's not a big deal, but I'm going to try to just kind of go for it. It'll be faster. All right. Dread. Chris Young, what's up? Where is Dread? Dread's awesome. I know it's late for all my UK friends, but Dread has an amazing channel too. Can't get enough. All right. So that is the kind of the lightest, not the lightest lights, but that's kind of gives me the roadmap for the overall light. There's still going to be more put in, but what I love to do is I love to bounce back and forth because things will emerge as I kind of get into painting this. And again, I don't want to lock in like all the super highlights now and just wash them out. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to jump to the like a medium green, and I don't want to go super dark yet. I would with a 543, I would do the like the darkest darks next. But with this one, I want to kind of take my time a little bit. So I'm going to jump to a little bit of green. And what I'm going to use is Wicked Phthalo green. It's a very, green isn't really, it's not a primary color, but the way I describe Viridian is it's like a primary green, like a super in-your-face green, like a really pure green. I love moss green for a lot of my other paintings because it's more natural. But for this crazy guy, we're going straight on. So I've got the green in here, and I've added a little bit of 40-50 and reducer. So about, there's about 50% of each. So the mix is about 1-to-1 of the reducer to 40-50. And that makes this green even more transparent, which is nice. Now the green is nice, but I want to give this a little bit of a kick. So I'm going to add a little bit of black to it. And I have this black already pre-reduced as well. This is 1 part paint to 20 parts reducer. So it's a really weak black. And that will just give this green a little bit of bite that it really doesn't have by itself. I'll jump back to the Viridian by itself, but for this type of stuff, I want to kind of start cutting in some of the details. We will not see Gerald here tonight because it is so green. This is the holiday where Gerald goes into hiding. Gerald is not a big fan of green, so yeah. Let's concentrate on the skull because I can bounce around a lot on this, but I think it's going to do us more good to like really like kind of focus. And then, if you get what I'm doing on the skull, the hat and the mug are pretty much run of the mill. Same stuff. There's actually, the skull is a lot harder than the rest of it, so it'll give you a good idea. So with this green, again, this is going to seem really dark, but it's nowhere near the final, like the final color is going to be black. So what I'm going to do though is I'm going to test it in the darkest area. Come on. And that would be like in the eye sockets. And I'm going to test it out here to see what it looks like on the surface. And the reason why I'm testing it out is because, I would know what this color looked like on like white, but looking at it on green is going to be a whole different thing. So this gives me a chance to really test it out without committing to an important part of the painting. Like if I started doing details with it right out of the gate and it wasn't the right color, I'd be locked in and I'd be kind of screwed. So this allows me, this will ultimately be almost black. So this really lets me kind of take a look at how it's working. And this is going to be good. Oh, Scott, no problem. So Scott is taken off. So let me elevate someone else to the job of moderator. So let's do Miss Honey. Now, if I choose you as the moderator, please don't feel like you have to stay around for the whole feed. It is just kind of an honor for while you are here. And you don't have to, again, you don't have to feel like you have to hang around. I mean, I would love it if you hung around, but you don't feel like if you have stuff to do that you can't do that. I will just, if the moderator needs to bail, we'll just grab someone else who's a member and they will be moderator too. Yeah, Roberto, that is the reason to bail out right there, buddy. So happy St. Patrick's Day to you. And Robert, Scotland is close enough to Ireland that you can have a scotch instead of a pint if you want. So there's that. All right. So yeah, so this color is going to work out great. So I've tried it in both the eye sockets. I like it. It's a nice color. It's working out for me. What I'm looking for when I'm doing this is something that's going to spray really well, but yet not be overpowering. That's what I'm looking for. And this really is going to give it to me. So now with this color, I can start working on the same idea that I just did with the white, but now with the darker areas. So I'm going to kind of start mapping out the shadows. And again, this doesn't have to be perfect. This just has to kind of start getting things in. There's plenty of time to like really dig in and get like super tight details, which we will. Again, and I'm going to push this as hard as I can in one area, just so you kind of see it get done. But whatever happens in one area, it will be a finished painting by the end. Again, we're taking bids on these two. So if we don't get any bids on them, that's totally cool too. I get it. And what we'll do is I'll just put them on the site for the, you know, the whatever the standard amount is, and then we'll be good. Yeah, honey, get the blue. Yeah. So again, this just allows me to kind of roll around this thing and try to pick up on where some of the shapes are. Like obviously his eyeball here is a round sphere, so I can start thinking about, you know, how the shading is going to be on that ultimately. He's going to have a green iris because green is the only color we're using. So that's fine. So I can start locking that in. Like that. But, you know, the shadow on the bottom of his eyeball, I can get the shadow on the upper side of his eyeball. I can start to kind of lock in. Now, I can start to do some details if I want to pick around with it, but it's not super critical that, you know, I get bogged down. It's also not going to kill the painting if I start doing some details too. It'll just end up getting, you know, kind of sucked into the mix. The problem with kind of getting into the details too early is if you start making big sweeping changes like with values, you can lose all the details that you spent time on. So that's usually why I don't do it. But on this image, Scott has done such a good job laying it out for you that you really do know where things are. So there's not going to be too much of that where you're surprised, you know, like, oh, I didn't realize that was this part or that part. So that you don't have to worry too much about, so you can really kind of start tucking in some of the details right out of the gate, you know, like I did there, just adding some of the, you know, the I don't know, the texture in the skin. And, oh, Bill, yes, so this is my Micron B that I'm using. I'll pull out the Infinity in a little bit when I do some of the black. They are working really well. And then if for anyone who's wondering, this is the trigger pad from the Grex. I really like that big fat trigger pad when I've done a lot of airbrushing. It really helps me out, you know, as far as fatigue goes. I know a lot of people, and including myself, I hated trigger pads before. I'm like, just feels like I have no control. But after a while of using it, and you know, the cushioning that it gives my finger, because I tend to push really hard on the trigger, I've come to really, really like them. So what it's chalked up as for me is totally personal preference. You know, I would never say, yeah, you've got to go out and buy these. It's the only way to go. It's not that kind of thing. It's definitely a personal preference. Like I said, up until maybe the last year or two, you couldn't pay me to put them on an airbrush. You know, I wasn't there at all. What else we got? Fire police class. Yay! That's awesome, honey. Congrats. Yeah, so Bill, I mean, my big three right now, or have always been the Micron B, the Micron C, and then a bigger brush like the Eclipse CS. Those are the big three for me. However, I've had a lot of fun with this Infinity. It does have some differences to it, which I'm glad it does. You know, they're not trying to be a knockoff or a clone. They really have some of their own innovation going on there. However, you know, some of it is, again, personal preference. I end up looking for certain things that I'm super familiar with the Iwatas. So, yeah. All right, background. So I am going to kind of introduce some sort of background, because what I want to do is, by the contrast from the dark to the light is what's going to pull this cheek out. So the way to do that is to make something brighter is to make what's behind it darker. So I will start by kind of spraying in some green here, but then I'll figure it out later. Like right now it's just going to look like kind of a foggy outline. But by the end of the painting, I will come to some sort of resolution for this, maybe make it look more like a relief drop shadow, or maybe add some texture to it or whatever. But what I do know is that it needs to be darker. It needs to be darker so it can pull, so that skull pulls itself out from the background. Because right now the highlight by itself isn't going to do it. It needs, see how that now pops out a little bit? So that's what we're looking for. William Klein. You don't want to mess with honey. Yeah, you don't want to do that. So handcuffs or no. She is a formidable opponent. We love our honey. She's awesome. All right. So same thing here. I'm not getting into real tight details. I'm just kind of mapping out where the light and the dark is. I've already done the light. So now I'm kind of mapping out where the dark is going to be. And just like we talked about with the roll of tape, the light's going to hit the upper left. Anything on the lower right is going to get shadow. So that's what I'm kind of looking at now. And again, it's important for me to keep it really general so that I'm thinking more about these overall shapes. And that's what's going to really give it form. The trick is, like I said, you can jump into details early and sometimes it doesn't hurt you. Where it really hurts you is if you're worried about details, you miss these bigger forms, and then even with all the details, your painting is going to feel flat, and we don't want that. So the side of the nose is going to get a little bit of shadow, I think, and that'll be good. This part of his jawline will kind of creep out onto here. Yeah, we're going to get a bunch of this done. Mr. Ian, hello. Yes, and now that I'm not doing the Thursday feeds, Simon hasn't been telling me when daylight savings time is over in the UK. Last year when I was doing the Thursday feed, Simon Carter was great at letting me know the day difference between the UK or Greenwich Mean Time and the US as far as daylight savings time. So I know we just changed last weekend, and I think it's a week or two between. So for those lovely people who are dealing with Greenwich Mean Time, I apologize, the time is goofy. But welcome. Glad you're here. Kelly Drakes and Ian Hearts of the World. Makes me happy. Yay. What else we got? It's end of the month, Kelly? Holy smoke, that's mean. Why would anyone want that? I am definitely on the camp of getting rid of daylight savings time entirely. I think it's dumb now. And it's just confusing, and I never remember how to change the clock in my car, so I want that to end. But, I don't know. I don't understand the value of it now. I think Wayne is still here because, Wayne, correct me if I'm wrong, Wayne, but Arizona doesn't have daylight savings time, right? I think that's true. The night is still young. Yay! Thanks, Kelly. So Brian Moore, if you are interested, I have soapboxes that I do on the Open Studios on Wednesday. And Brian Moore had a great one about contrast. What I'm doing right now, this kind of laying out and pushing and pulling of these shapes, is exactly what he was talking about. It's how you develop these shapes just by contrast alone. The lights and the darks will form these shapes just by kind of putting them in the right spot. And it's a super cool thing. The hair in Scott's is orange. I don't know that I want to do that. I don't know if I want to introduce any orange to this. In Scott's, the one I showed you here, I'll flip over that real quick. No, it's green. Okay, the gold one on the front page that I did, he has orange, but this one has all green. So, all right, we're going to go with that. Don't have it in Arizona because Arizona people are smart. They know what's going on. They know what's up. And again, I hope I mentioned this recently since people are on now. We got a bunch of people on, and I deeply appreciate that. We're taking bids on this painting, which is the dirty painting, and it's dirty tricks. So that's why I call it dirty. So just type dirty and your bid amount. And then the other painting is shot. And that is the shot of whiskey, which we did live on a Facebook Live. This is the painting. It's on aluminum, which is very cool. And this painting, we're taking bids on that too. So I figured both the alcohol-induced paintings will take bids on. And then if there are no bids at the end of the feed, I'll just put them up on the site, and they'll be what they're going to be. Garcia had 150 for the, okay, great, thanks, honey. So Chris has 150 on this guy. Let me write these down so I know. Thank you for all that. That means a lot. So 150 for dirty, nothing on the shot. Okay, cool. 25 on the shot. There you go, William. All right, so we got 25 on the shot. And then again, I'll try to keep track of it as we go, but I'll make sure, you know, by when I finish the feed and I go to kind of go through all the comments, I will make sure we have the highest bid gets the painting. Now, here's an interesting thing. Like, I know Chris, but if you win either painting or if you win tonight, one thing I can't figure out yet is how to contact people directly on YouTube. I'm going to have to see if that's a possibility. So if you win the bid tonight, if you know you had the high bid, just send me a message on any of my socials or email me or whatever. And that way I can get your address to ship it out. And yeah, we'll do it that way until I figure out how to actually get the thing going. Great. Excellent. All right, so this is going good. So a little bit of shading underneath the eyebrow here will get us in a good spot. Again, trying hard not to get into any kind of detail here, just kind of keeping it fleshed out. You'll be amazed at how fast this pops. And what we'll do is I'll keep blocking this in right now. And then when we come back after the giveaway, I'll put the final details in and across his eyes, and you'll get a feel for how this is going to look in the end. Patty, what's up, Patty? And oh, thank you all last week. Not only did we have a blowout in tech, a lot of you know that I've been working a lot with the Butler Institute of American Art here in Youngstown, and I've been helping them handle a lot of their artwork, you know, kind of basically move things around and set up shows and things like that. So there was an area of the collection that, for trying to, I don't know, not a better word, I guess, was not taken care of, but the collection was a lot of Americana type stuff, like a lot of carved wood and objects like that, carousel horses and, you know, things like that, Americana type stuff that was given to the museum by an amazing collector / artist. And the museum's been going through a lot of that collection. There's literally 1,000 pieces in his whole collection, so it's massive. Somehow, some way, in coming in contact with that, I picked up some kind of weird mold thing that had given me like super bad headaches for a week. Out of nowhere last week, I got one of those right at the end of the feed, and you guys were great. It was just a fitting end to a rotten feed as far as the tech goes, so it was pretty funny that it happened. But to all those people who reached out, I am fine. Everything's good. It was just unusual timing. So thank you. Oh, what do we got? What do we got? Stevie doing classes. William, not yet. I've talked to the lovely folks at Spray Gunner about doing a class down in Florida, down in the Tampa area. Dave Monig now he's up and running in his brand new shiny place in Anaheim, California. Before he was involved in the move, we talked about doing, you know, a class there. I've also talked to Createx, and they are in the process of doing a bunch of stuff right now. So those are the 3 corners of the world that I would likely do a class next in. So I will keep everyone up on that. But thank you. That's really cool. I appreciate that. No bidding. Yeah. So no increments on the bid. I mean, all right. So here's the thing. Don't keep it above $1, please. Like I don't want to get like, you know, $25.03. Let's not go there. So, $5. Keep the increments at 5. Let's make it easy. So right now, if I'm not mistaken, the shot glass painting is at 25 bucks, and the skull painting here, the Happy St. Patrick's Day, is in at 150 right now. So yes, Bobby, that's the other thing. I should have mentioned that. Scott and I have been talking about doing something up in his place for forever. I'm from Massachusetts and it makes a lot of sense. I've also, gone back and forth with Nub about doing something at his place in New York. So that's a possibility. So the short answer is yes, I'll eventually have something somewhere. But the long answer, or the other side of that is that I just don't have anything yet. Especially with the summer coming up, it's going to be crazy busy. But yeah, I would love to do a class again. That'd be outstanding. JC. Yes, I would definitely love to do a class for my fellow New Englanders. Scotty's up on the North Shore. So that would be great. I would love to do that. Yay, this is coming out swimmingly. All right, so I've got everything pretty much mapped out now. I like the forms. I like where things are going. I'm going to add from here on out till the end, or the giveaway, which is in about 14 minutes. I'm going to start like leaning back, like farther away from this thing. And I'm going to start adding more of those, overall kind of shadows. So like on the lower edge of his cheekbone here, it's a bunch of tape. I'm not going to get into his teeth right now. I'll probably do those after, or if we have time at the end. Kind of cut this eyebrow in a little bit more. Just start making some general overall changes, or, overall adjustments to these forms. Maybe I will kind of start diving into the teeth. So for the top of the teeth, I am going to add some detail because we're pretty much there. And they don't change much other than those details. That'd be amazing, William. That'd be really cool. Yes, I'd keep an eye on all the socials that I have, because I'll announce it there first. But that would be great. I would love that. So as this rolls around the upper side, like over here, that whole area is going to start to get darker uniformly, because again, the oval or the cylindrical shape of the upper jaw is just going to have a lot of shadowing on it anyway. So again, this is one of those instances where I got to keep that main overall shape in mind and not get bogged down with the details. Because if I get bogged down with these tight little details on this side, it's going to make his upper jaw feel really, really flat. And I don't want that. Don't want that. Yar. So let's move this up a little bit because I'm making good time on this. So I'm going to start working on his jaw area while we have some time. Now with Scott's images, you can obviously scale this up and down to kind of accommodate all different sizes. If you watch Scott do his are usually on a, like 12 by 18 panel. So obviously this is, smaller. It's half the size. It's 6 by 8. You could reduce this down to like micro size, you could, which I was thinking about doing, but then, we see that a lot. So I figured I'd do it a little bit bigger so you get a shot at it. Same thing with the background here. I'm going to darken the background behind him because I just feel like he's not going to stand out enough in a monochromatic way. So this way, by darkening behind him a little bit, that value will kind of pop him out. And like I said, I'll figure out what it's going to be in the end. Whether it's going to be texture or, I don't know, shadow or something. Yeah. Keep working on his jaw since we're making good time. And again, the changes that we made during the week look like they're holding. There's one more behind the scenes technical change that I need to make. Hopefully that'll absolutely completely solve that buffering problem. But I still got to figure that out. Scott has actually been a champ with walking me through a lot of it, because I got the same setup as him. So, and I've got my setup after. So he's already gone through a lot of the growing pains of this Blackmagic ATEM camera system type of thing. So he's been amazing. I've talking to him today for a while, and we got a lot of stuff worked out, and that is the reason why this feed has not been craptastic. So thank you for everyone who hung around last week while I flopped around in misery. Yes, Gene Winfield. There was a great suggestion last week. Thank you, Bobby. Yes, please, everyone, smash that like button and keep those comments coming, and that would be wonderful. Yeah, someone had made the comment. I should have wrote it down. I did write it down, or I have it written down. Someone had made a comment last week as a suggestion to do a Gene Winfield car, or Gene himself. Gene is one of the amazing automotive customizing gods that has just passed away. And that would have been a great 543. I didn't have enough time to do that one justice. So, yeah, JC, I know. Honey, I need a team. I need a social team is what I need. But I need to have a larger channel first, which would be up to you all fine folks. And I love the growth that I've been having because it's real. You know, I just love that the subscribers I have are actually watching the videos, and I can tell that by the analytics. So that is by far more important to me. I don't care. I mean, I do care how many subs we have at the end or as we go along. But I deeply, deeply love that all the subscribers are active in the channel. So 8 minutes, perfect. Yeah, Gary. Yeah, no, Gary. She's not my manager because she's too busy managing what she's got going on. So. Same thing with the teeth. The trap is to shade them all uniformly, and by doing that, you'll end up with a bunch of teeth that look like they're flat. So these back teeth here are all going to be in shadow. So even though they'll have some of that definition, for the most part, they'll be kind of washed out, except for the very tops. But these front teeth really get a harder shadow along one side because they're kind of in the light. And again, it doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be that kind of, where do we go with it? Like what's going to help kind of make the form work, the bigger shapes. You know what I mean? Yeah, this is perfect. We'll just kind of I was going to say flesh this out, but that doesn't work with him because he has no flesh. But we're going to kind of do the basics around this guy, so that we can just kind of poke on the details when we get back and put some highlights in and show you where this is ultimately going. I'm not going to finish this on this feed. I can tell by what I want to put into it. However, I'll have the, across his eyes and his nose where you can't see. I'll have that done for the feed so you can see where it's going. So right now it's crisp, but whoever ultimately gets it. And I will give you let's do this. The person who has the highest bid has right of first refusal. Let's do that. So if I finish it and show it to you and you don't like it, you just go on to the next highest bidder. Let's do that. Because I'm not going to, like I said, I'm probably not going to finish it on the feed tonight. And I want to, kind of work on this the next couple of days, get it done and out. Some of the projects like Gary's skull panel that I did needed to be clear coated and all that other fun stuff. And, I don't want these to hang around like that one had to hang around. That one's just about to go out. But yeah, want to get this one buttoned up. What happened? Oh yeah, Gary, this will be better than 543 for sure. Yeah, I'll spend a bunch of time on this. I mean, it's not going to be Tokyo painting, but it's not going to be 543 either. Yeah, already it's beyond 543, which is nice. Now, I know this kind of feels black. When we get back and I do use black on this, you're going to see how crazy different that is. So, yeah. Perfect. Yeah, I think we're close. So I'm going to pull back for a second. Here's what it looks like from far away. This will give you a better scale too. So that's what it looks like. Well, let's get the glare off it. Oh, it kind of looks like that right now. Now you can see the transition between the dark to the light. So it's going to be a lot of fun. And yeah, I will come up. It's definitely going to have a pinstripe around the outside edge. I'll probably do variegated gold leaf around the outside edge. And I might add some texture to that background too. I don't know. The background is going to be, yeah, probably that's what I'm going to do. I'll add some Gerald texture to kind of, fade out from that to kind of make it look like a relief. But I think that's going to be good. Okay. So Gary's at 175. Thank you, Gary. So Gary's at 175. Awesome. Okay. So far the shot is, the shot's at 25. So that's great. All right. So we're going to look at these paintings. I'm going to give one away. Again, if you're new or hanging out, the way you win one of these paintings is do what these other fine people are doing and type 543 like Ian just did, and how he typed Angry Wolf. That's all you need to do. You make me a suggestion. I'll pick 3 of those suggestions during the week, but everyone who makes a suggestion gets one chance at winning their very own painting the following week. It's easy. Yeah, Gary, I was bummed. In fact, like I was just talking about working with the museum. I was working at the museum. I was doing a talk on, or helping do a talk on juried shows, which was a lot of fun. But took a while, so I knew I wasn't going to make it. But yeah, we'll catch up, Gary. I know we will. All right. What do we got? Ron Basil. Ron asked for George Jetson. That's what we got for George Jetson. And again, if you want a 543, these are going to, well, this is really close, but you get the idea. He will fly by you. There you go. There's George Jetson. This one's called Here's George Jetson. You guys can sing the rest of it. Next up is Enzo for St. Paddy's Day. He wanted a pint of Guinness. Who am I to say no? So this is my pint o' Guinness. And when we're talking about this too, again, if you're new, welcome. I keep saying that, but it's true. When Gary's asking if this painting that I'm working on right now, the leprechaun skull, is going to be 543 quality. The idea behind these 543s is that I only spend 2 hours on them. They're usually only black and white, and I'm able to get them done very quickly. So there's a cap on the detail I can put on them, and that's what Gary is referring to. So in case you're wondering. Finally, Mr. Grumpy RC Flyer asked for a kestrel, a North American kestrel, which is that very cool little tiny crazy little sparrowhawk, and that's what I got for that. So again, if you look at this close up, this is, and you could see this, like if you watch the video tomorrow, the time-lapse video, you can watch how I did this. There's no paintbrush in this at all. It's all airbrush. But if I was doing this painting for real, like really spending all the time on it, it would be 5 times longer. I would spend probably about 10 to 12 hours on this. There'd be a lot of painting and scratching and erasing and all kinds of other stuff to really kind of lock in that detail, even on a small painting like this. But the 543s don't get that. The idea behind them is they're quick, they're accurate, and hopefully, you love them. So that's it. So there are your group. Now, because we had such a broken feed last week, you guys did your best to put in your suggestions. However, because it was technically challenged, there were only 11 people on the list. So we're in good shape as far as chances to win. Again, if you win, and I only ask that you just contact me with your shipping address, so that I can get it out to you. Again, I don't know that I can send a message through YouTube directly to a person, but that would be nice if I could. Well, I'll figure that out. In the meantime, and if you're not here and you won last week, or you won this week and you were not here this week, I will post it on all my socials who won. So you can always check those too. So there are your wonderful 11 people. Your winner tonight, as soon as the mouse comes back from Narnia, is number 3. And he's already gone. I do know where this guy is. Number 3 is your friend and mine, Sideshow Bob. Congratulations, Bob. Bob is grabbing his pint and enjoying St. Patrick's Day early. So he has won. So now what that means, Bob's not here, so he would normally get first chance at all 3 of these because that's how it works. The winner gets first pick. But he's not here, and I have a feeling I know what he's going to want anyway. So all 3 of these will go up on my site immediately after the feed. And if you want one of them, they're always discounted. And there you go. That's the sales pitch for today. Sideshow Bob. All right, so that's that. What else do I got? Good. Let's do it. All right, so let's home in on the details on this. So the details for this painting are really going to come in the same 2 steps. It's pulling out the super darks and then pulling out the super lights. And that will really kind of, again, I hate to use the word flesh out because, you know, it's Mr. Skull, but you get the idea. Let's move this back to where he was so you guys can see him. Let's concentrate on his eyes and we'll tighten this up. I may have to refocus. Yeah. But, you know, even now it's pretty tight, but you'll see what I mean. Shall see what I mean. All right, Mike Stevenson has a shot at 30. A bargain indeed. Excellent, Mike. Thank you, sir. I lost my pencil. And it's Kyle. I know, Kyle, I was thinking of you. So Kyle, get your suggestions in. You gotta win. You gotta win. Kyle went to the very end of last year before he won one of the giveaways, which was that was fun. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean out the green out of this brush, and we're going to use just straight up black. Now, if this painting here was a Tokyo painting or a painting that I was going to be spending 12, 13 hours on, there'd be a lot more variation in these colors. I wouldn't be jumping directly to black, but because I'm trying to get this done in less than 80 hours, I'm going to lean on the airbrush being able to regulate how much of that black goes down, and you'll see what I mean. So I can put this black down in a really thin layer, and that'll give me a variation of the black because you can see through it. You can see the green through it. So it's a little bit harder to kind of manage that way because things can go wrong. Like you can have a blowout with the airbrush and then it'll put a lot of black on and then you'll screw up. Where if I took this and made that same green but just like a couple steps darker and then do a bunch of details and then keep getting darker in gradual steps, I'd have much more control over the paint and it would give me a better result, but it also take a lot longer. But say it with me, kids, the hell could go wrong? All right, Donna. I thought you said you were having corned beef and cabbage, Donna. Yeah, I'm not getting any corned beef and cabbage here. I even talked to my mom today, who is 100% Irish, but my mom is 100% Italian, and she would always make corned beef and cabbage for my dad. So I asked her today if she was making corned beef and cabbage, and her exact words were, "Hell no." So, so she's not even doing it. All right, so this is black. Again, this is super, super reduced. You can do this with Createx paint if you're working on paint, like I'm putting this hyper reduced paint on a painted surface. I would never do this on a raw surface because it would just skate all over the place and make a mess. But because I've got the paint already on there, this really hyper reduced paint is gonna just kind of stick to where it's going, which is nice, because it allows me to kind of get this transparency with a weaker paint, but I can still, get it down to 100% opacity if I want to, which I am going to, like in the eye sockets. And it's the same deal here. Remember, I painted those green just to test it out. The same thing here. I'm going to test out the black on a spot where it's not going to make that much of a difference, which is in that deep eye socket. And once I know everything's working great, then I can move on to a more fragile area. Yeah, I know, James, right? Yeah, Kyle has come very close more than once, which I find humorous to watch. You know, I know it's painful for Kyle, but it is fun to watch how close he's come. So this is where the details start to come in. So inside his eye socket, I don't have to paint all that just black. Like in the back here, I can paint some texture back there, like these little lines, for instance, that kind of echo what the eyeball is doing. So I'll do that first one right against the eyeball. That'll kind of set that eyeball in. But behind it, I can, like inside the eye socket, I can add more of those, you know, like little lines that kind of come off. And what these do is they just add a lot of interest to that really dark area. Because what happens is we see detail in darker areas more than lit up areas because the light tends to wash out the details. And that's a big thing. You know, a lot of artists will tend to do all the details in the light areas. And what happens is that flattens out your image because, again, the brightest areas are going to be washed out. You know, it's blinding you. You know, it's just so much light there that you can't see anything. But if you put all your details in the darker areas, those really pop and those give it, you know, that kind of shape that you're looking for. I'm just going to keep working around his eye, and then I'm going to kind of radiate out from there. So the next thing I'm going to do is kind of give it's kind of too dark, but it'll be fine. Everything will be fine. I was going to give the iris just a little bit of a hit, probably a little bit too dark, but that's okay. It'll still work. So then I'm going to kind of get the pupil in. So the way to make the iris lighter is to make the pupil like jet black. And again, it's contrast. You know, the jet black of the pupil is going to make the darker areas in the iris feel a lot lighter. And there we go. No template needed. Yeah, Kyle, 100%. And that's the beauty of the giveaway. If you're here all year, we give away at least 52 paintings. You know, we give one away every feed. So the chances of you winning are excellent. Anyone, you know, not just Kyle, but everyone. So that's the idea. It's the way to kind of say thank you to everyone who's participating and having a good time, and that's the goal. I mean, if the channel continues to grow and it gets out of control, you know, that we'll deal with that when we get there. You know, it may get to a point where it's just too big and we can't keep up with it, but that would be a good problem to have, right? So, awesome. Yeah, there we go. So that's good. Again, I you know, like I said, I could jump into this thing with some paintbrush, but I don't really want to. I want to have it. I don't know why I want to have it all airbrushed. Please don't get me started on the freehand versus not freehand stuff. It's a load of crap. But the reason why I want to avoid the paintbrush is because I think it'll slow me down right now. You know what I mean? If I have to switch tools and bounce back and forth between two tools, it's very similar to, you know, bouncing back and forth between multiple colors. You know, if I have to do that, it's going to slow me down, and I don't want to do that. And this is, yeah, it's working out swimmingly. In fact, we're going to get a bunch of this done before we call it. Great news for Kyle. Is walking around the house without a cane or assistance. He's coming along well in his recovery. He's definitely a fighter. The story is beyond belief because, you know, Gary kind of let people know publicly when he needed to about what happened. Kyle was in a pretty serious accident, not a pretty serious accident, a very serious accident. And Gary was social enough to let the people who cared about him and about Kyle know what was kind of going on. But Kyle superhero is all I can say. You know, the fact that he's here is amazing. So to know he's doing so well is just over the top. So we are all super happy that Mr. Kyle is here for us to give him a hard time about everything. All right. So now, here's the green. You see the difference between the green and the black, the punch that has now, and that really carves in. Now, this isn't the last step. You know, this I'm going to jump back with the green because, again, when you darken something, it lightens everything else up. So that green that I put in first, I'm going to need to add a little bit more of that to now catch up to the black. And the same thing is going to happen with the highlights. So by the end of it, hopefully it'll make sense when you see it, but it's a balancing act for me. It's like jumping back and forth and not, you know, you don't want, I never want to like just blast it and do the final step right away. I want to just keep bouncing back and forth. 3 separate outdoor walks today, half a mile each, come along indeed. Yeah, no kidding. So that's what it was. It slowed me down the painting. Michael, yeah, that it is. Mike, you know, Mike's working on a crazy involved painting of a VW Bug van in front of all these, in this building with all these old signs, and it's incredibly intense. You know, there's a lot going on in that. Now with that painting, you can't do that fast anyway, so it doesn't matter what you're using, and Michael's showing that, but yeah. But again, with that, it's the only way to do it. So now I'm just going to kind of highlight those little ridges details that I kind of put in before with the green. I don't want to go over them entirely because I'll lose them. You know, they'll just be black details instead of green details. So again, because this paint is so transparent, I can kind of use it to blend in with the green I already put in. So now what's nice about this painting is even these dark areas are not just black. You know, they're different shades of this dark green, which is a lot of fun. Yeah, definitely getting ready for the 5K. I love it. Before I get too much on the details, well, maybe I will. So I could start putting in some really tight details. I don't want to do too many of these because I have to add the white highlights in as well. But we'll start poking in some of the texture on the skull and some of those darker areas. But this is working out. Well, Kyle's getting ready for his 5K. Kyle, I can't drive a 5K, so you're doing fine. How was I just stabbed myself with my airbrush because I wasn't paying attention to what I was doing. Yeah, if you're not bleeding from your airbrush, the little scar right there on my index finger, that's from grabbing the paint off the needle like this. So I have embedded paint into my finger. So yeah, you gotta earn it, kids. You gotta burn for it. There's no crying in airbrushing. Yeah, that's lovely. So I'm gonna kind of darken his eyeball a little bit on this side too to give that a little bit of form. I'm ready to go. William, I wanted corned beef and cabbage. I did, but I wouldn't do that to anyone. Like today it's just me and Marge here, and her grandmother is Irish, so I know, you know, she's familiar, but something tells me she's not a fan, and I wouldn't do that to anyone. Boiled cabbage is a I don't know, acquired taste, I guess. Yay, I'm super happy. All right, so let's jump back to the white a little bit. Now, I don't know how this brush is going to work for this. Again, this brush was spraying by itself, and I got to make sure it doesn't do that. Yeah, it's going to be kind of rough. Let's see what we can do here. Now, what it means with this brush spraying by itself is just there's a little chunk of paint stuck in the nozzle, and it's holding the needle from seating all the way forward, and that means it's spraying by itself. I've tried the usual, quick tricks to kind of fix that, cleaning it out, flushing it out, running cleaner through it. Like for me, it's isopropyl rubbing alcohol. That didn't do it, which means I need to physically take the nozzle out and get in there. But I don't want to do that. Oh, veal parmesan sounds really good. Cabbage is a cleanser. It is, but I love it. I don't know why I love it. All right, so this is straight up white. And again, I've added a lot of reducer to this. So again, it has the same sort of quality that the black had, which means it's very transparent, but if I hold it in one spot for a bit, it'll just kind of become opaque. You know what I mean? So I can slowly build this up. Now, if you've ever airbrushed or even painted with white, you know how unwell it sprays and on how thick and heavy it is. So you want all the chances you can get to pull off, this paint in a more controlled way. And that's really the way that I do it. I end up just saying, okay, I'm not going to get this in one shot. I got to build it up. But the results really pay off. You get this subtle kind of shift, which is nice. Cabbage water with salt and pepper is supposed to be really good for you. My dad drinks it when he has cabbage. Oh, Lee. And he will probably live forever. However, he's not going to have too many friends once his digestive system starts going, right? I love it. I love corned beef cabbage. And I loved all the boiled vegetables too. I'm so weird that way. Yeah, Kyle will be ready for the Ironman soon. No problem. I know, Chris. Absolutely. I would love that. The town I grew up in Massachusetts had a large Portuguese community. And every year they have a kind of a festival in the middle of town. And so we were always exposed to like a lot of a lot of different kinds of foods. And again, I grew up in an Italian household, so we had pasta. But then when the festival rolled around, it's like, it was really, really good. And now, my son-in-law comes from a Portuguese family, and I can't wait to get back and hang out with them and have his mom cook for me. So kind of see what I'm doing with this? I'm just kind of like scumbling in this white. I'm letting the fault of the paint kind of do the work. So to get a really thin, perfectly, awesome line with white is very difficult because it doesn't want to spray that way. But it does want to spit and grumble and stuff. And through the micron, that spitting and grumbling is like super detailed. It's super fine. So it's perfect for adding this kind of highlighty texture onto the skull. So again, kind of working with the strengths of the tool that I got. Thanks, JC, man. It's awesome. Yes. Yep. You know it. Yeah. They would, I don't know if they still do it in the town, but the festival was right in the center of town, and they would take over. They would take over one of the big churches because it had a huge parking lot, and oh my God, it smelled so good. It's like, it's my favorite time of year. Now, I say that, and again, being Italian, we would go into the north end of Boston when they would do St. Anthony's Feast, and that's the same kind of thing, all these street vendors with the most amazing food, just crazy good stuff, and the smells, you know what I mean? Oh, so good. I'm a big fan of street food, you know what I mean? If I see a vendor on the side, of the road that's like, in a reasonably reputable area that I know I'm not going to get salmonella or something from, but, oh my gosh, so good. A lot of the bars and restaurants, or bars, especially the breweries around here in Ohio, they don't have their own food. Some do. but a lot don't. So what they'll do is they'll hire food trucks to come in, vending trucks, and oh my God, so good. Now I'm hungry. I love pigs in a blanket. That's good football food, Michael. Boiled beef and cabbage, not corned beef. See, I always called it, yeah, and it may be called boiled beef. We always called it corned beef and cabbage. That's what we called it. I could, again, me growing up in a Irish Italian family, I could be wrong, but whatever it was amazing. All right, that's really good. I'm gonna jump to the infinity, this little guy right here, because what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna jump back to the green and I'm gonna fill in the gaps now. You know how I said, when I add the black, it's going to take away from some of that green that I put in. My two gripes about this brush, let's jump out here, and they're not really gripes, they're personal type of thing. This is the new Infinity CR Plus, their super detailed brush. It is beautiful. It sprays great. You'll see that in a minute. My two gripes, one, and it's not even a gripe, I have a heavy hand. Like when I push down on the trigger, I like really push down. This kind of gripped trigger on the top, these little diamonds, I'll show you on this. There we go. The little diamond pattern on the top of this, that digs into my finger. And that's not the problem with the trigger. That's really how hard I push. That's something I got to get over. But the other thing that I'm not a big fan of, and I never really have been, the Infinity has this removable cup. And they give, oops, as I drop it, they give you like multiple sizes. This is the smallest one, so there's two other sizes. Now, on the outset, that seems like a really great idea because then, you have all these different options as far as the cup size. But what it does is to get the threads and everything to work with the seal, the opening that goes down into the brush has to be pretty small. So here's the Infinity without the cup. And if I show you the Micron B, which is the same, designed to do the same thing, see how bigger the cup is on this, wider? The Micron is a lot easier for me to clean out. I could just get into all of it really faster than I can with these smaller nooks and crannies in the Infinity. So that's my only two comments on it. Everything else, the brush it works as advertised. It is one hell of a brush. So there you go. So there's my Infinity in a nutshell right there. Corned beef. Oh, you guys gotta stop. Nick told me Slime sold 4,000 pounds today. I believe that. That's I gotta get there though, Mike. After you talking about that place, oh my God. Good for them. All right, so we're gonna do a little bit of green here. I'm gonna use that Viridian, the phthalo green, because it's so strong. So I'm just gonna put a drop in the airbrush, and same kind of formula. I'm gonna use a little bit of the reducer in 4050. And this I pre-mix up. This is 1 to 5, so it's 1 part 4050 UVLS to 5 parts reducer. And that's the one I use for the smaller brushes, and then for the bigger brush like the Micron and the CS, I use 1 to 2, which is 1 to 1, 1 part paint to 2 parts reducer. And that just is a nice kind of a spiked reducer that helps smooth out the paint and also, reduce it a little bit, because that green is pretty lumpy. And, it definitely doesn't want to go through these brushes very well. Get the older trigger, Steve. You may like it. JC, yeah, I might do that. Again, that's a me thing. 100% up and down a me thing. I don't blame them. In fact, I watched their videos on the trigger, and I really love the theory behind it. They really put a lot of thought in it, and that's amazing. So I wouldn't be like, oh, you guys got to change that. This sucks. It's not like that at all for me. All right, so now I've got this. This might not be dark enough, but we'll see what happens. What I got to do, JC, is I got to frickin' learn to lighten up on them, I purposely didn't put as much black in this because I want that green to be kind of vibrant. And this is where I start to, get into those details. So again, and it's the same as like we talked about. I want to do this texture and this detail only in the areas where it's kind of got some shadow. I will put some in the lighter areas, but nowhere near, really that much in the bright areas here. I will do it a little bit in between the highlights just to kind of help pop them out a little bit, like this. But it's really just more of a textural thing than a shading thing. Where I get down into the texture, in the shading, that's a whole different deal. Like I'll scumble that whole area. I'll just kind of add this squiggly feel in all the dark areas. And that will help turn that plain old dark smooth area into an area that has more like a texturized skull feel. So what I'm doing right now is a perfect example of something I would not do on a 543. I would leave it smooth, it would look cool, and that would be the end of it. Yeah, please, if I've missed something and the bids have kind of updated, let me know. We're kind of coming down to the end of the feed. I think I'm going to probably call it and not push my luck on this wonderful feed for a change where it didn't blow up. So, yeah, we're going to say congrats to Sideshow Bob on his win. And again, if you're interested in any of those 3 paintings, those are all going to go up on the site as soon as we're done. The shot is at 40. Okay, cool. Awesome. William, is that your bid? That's amazing. Thank you, William. So shot, yeah, you're going to deal if... There we go, Scott. What do you think, buddy? I'm getting there. All right, so we got 40 for William. William Klein. And then Gary is, I think, still in at 175 for the... yeah, Gary's at 175. There we go. Okay. Perfect. So again, this phthalo green is just, it's nice because, again, I'm using the thinness of it when I want to have just kind of like a hint of that texture. But let me pick a spot here. Like, all right, inside his nose here, this area right here. This area in here, I can let this get almost to opacity down to the dark areas. And I could still use that scumbling technique to kind of make sure that this has that, skull-like texture. I can also use this, like the white kind of blew out there a little bit. I can use this color to kind of carve back that mistake that was made. Or even not. If I want to thin out this highlight along the edge of his nose, I can use this green to do that. Because it sprays better than the white. So, bidding war. Mike is at 45. Wait. No. William's at 50 for the shot. That's awesome. I want to master skull and mortgage a dog and get a message to Scott. I swear. Yeah, Bobby, that's awesome. All right, so William is at 50. Thank you, William, for that. What the heck? Is William outbidding himself? Oh, Mike's at 55. All right. I think William has thrown down the gauntlet at 100. Mike just says, okay, I love it. You guys are amazing. I love you guys. It's good. Which is awesome. All right, so unless someone steps up and goes up on William, he's going to get the shot glass for 100, which is amazing. That's great. And Gary's still in solid at 175 for the for this painting here. And Gary, I'm gonna go nuts on this. And Gary, the other painting is ready to go. So what I'll do, Gary, is I'll get with you, and then if no one outbids you on this, I'll ship both of these together. Awesome. So again, what we'll do, since I am keeping up with this and I have seen what's going on, if the end of the feed hits and the bids stand, I know where Gary is. William, I would ask that if you win, just shoot me a message on any of the socials letting me know where I can ship your painting to, and I will. What I'll end up doing is putting an item up on the website just for you, so you can just pay for it there, and it's on its way. It's nice if I do it on the website because then you You can use whatever you want to pay for it, except for small farm animals. I don't get that. But this will give you a good idea. When I back out a little bit from this, the band across his eyes is pretty much done. So it'll give you a good idea of the 3 different stages of this painting and how I would kind of approach this from beginning to end. You guys saw it happen for real, but you'll see the stages here. So again, this green is great for kind of like building up those bigger areas again, like behind where his jaw goes behind the mug. This green is great for that. If I use the black, it'll kind of deaden it out, you know, but this green is pretty vibrant, very vibrant. So I can get this as dark as I want, but it's not going to kill it. It's just going to give it more form, which is a lot of fun. Carefully me send you pennies, honey. It all works. Yes, there is no Target gift card option on my site. You know, go to Target and get gift cards and send them to me. I try to keep things as scam-free as possible on the site. So, you know, enjoy safe shopping over there. There we go. Yeah, so again, I can go back in where I shaded it originally. Add more of that green, and that really wraps that cheekbone around. You know what I mean? It takes that original form and just kind of puts it in hyperdrive mode, you know? And at the same time, I'm adding texture in this bone that, you know, that makes it look more realistic. So let's do this. I'm going to shoot you guys way out for a second to give you a feel for how this is coming overall. So right out of the gate, there's a lot more going on. But then what I'll do is I'll take the jumbo camera, and I'm going to move that back to like a full skull shot, so you guys can see that. Yeah, yeah, I'm super happy with this. Okay, so here's the full skull shot. Gives you an idea. I'll put the light back on it. There we go. That's about right. So yeah, so see how it just those few, I mean, I only used 3 colors, white, black, and then the phthalo green. But when you look at this, it gives the illusion that there's a lot more going on there. You know what I mean? And that's one of the things the airbrush does really well. That shading, that ability to put on a real transparent layer, allows the light to go through these paints almost like stained glass, which gives you a lot more than what's really there. So what I'm going to do to finish this up is everything. I'll give the rest of the painting the same treatment. There's going to be variation in the beer. I may end up using a template for that just because to do those round bubbles. I think I want those, you know, really tight. And then I think I'm just going to do this relief around the outside edge. I don't know that I'm going to use any texture on that because I love the contrast of the smooth background against that, you know, carved out skull and the texture in the skull. If I put a bunch of texture in the background, you won't have that contrast, and I think that's going to not work out well. So what I am going to do, though, to offset the amazing detail, you know, crazy detail here and then the smoothness of here, I'm probably going to put a double outline around, a double pinstripe around the whole panel. One with gold leaf and then another one with like a dark green. And that'll really like kind of tie the whole image together. So that's the plan for it. I think that's the way we're going to go. And Steve, don't want any more kids. No, I'm good with the kids I got. Thanks. Oh, boy. William, Harder and Steenbeck, German company, makes that infinity brush. It's a beauty. It is a beauty. Holy smoke. Did we do a thing? Did we have a whole feed with no technical blow-ups, with no strange craziness go on? I'm blown away. I'm assuming that the bid stands, so thank you so much, Gary. Thank you so much, William. You guys got bargains for sure. I will finish Gary's up. William, again, send me your info. You can email me at stephenleahy.com. You can send me a message on Instagram, Facebook, whatever you want to do. Just shoot me a message and we'll get that set up for you too. The other 3 paintings are going up on the site, so if you'd like one of your paintings, you can go there right after and grab one of those. You have a few seconds left to throw in a 543 suggestion for next week to win a painting. That's what I got. So tomorrow is the time-lapse video of the Kestrel Wednesday, join me for Tokyo. That's going to be fun. And then with any luck, we'll be back on Monday with another error-free feed. So I cannot thank you enough. You guys have been amazing. Have a wonderful week. Be super nice to one another. And yeah, we'll get to look at Scott's version on the way out. So love you guys, and I will catch you soon.